Based on the short social media teases we perhaps experienced in preparation and anticipation of this upcoming Never Obey Again release, or what's now of present debut, with What If, I'm anticipating a full-on band performance, which is kind of reminiscent of past videos they've offered for some selections of works. I'm mainly thinking of the Storm or Wake Up, and maybe some as well kind of take on that lens. I'm thinking of as well of Toxic Feelings and the Zombie cover. Both of those, even though again they're imagined but figuratively and differently, they're kind of the same vein. But I love experience and passion from artists that you can sense, right? And I'd say with respect of Never Obey Again, which is very much an emerging talent in the modern metal Italian landscape. Many of you know I love humoring European artists, and it's not often I get to say that I've remained caught up with a group. Usually I'm coming to all these other groups I cover quite often, in fact, of such a robust standing, quite late. And it's usually on par of recommendations from my many commenters from different bands of whatever focus you want to attribute. There's been numerous suggestions that have been applied to me that every one of which to the best of my ability, I catalog my master list of maybe we'll get to those someday. Never Obey Again was a bit different. I did see the name in passing at one point, namely because of the Scarlet Records connection, which I've humored a couple of their groups before. They've again given me a promising tease to maybe other groups, again, typically the Italian metal landscape, and I love that space, especially in modern metal, right? Volturian connection, again, on specific genre and country of origin. I loved humoring them. And Never Obey Again, to their credit, is of individual standing as well. They definitely have a real mainstream vibe to their presentation, but there is an independent focus on some of their songs that I feel their expression. And I'll tell you, they're a frequent re-listen for me. I have loved those first 5 pieces we've humored together, including, what was the last one I looked at? 945. All the pieces have had this brilliant delivery on music, on vocals. I love listening to Carol's voice, and the other band members to not, overlook anybody. There's a brilliant expression commanded from them that I love being introduced to, and I love when that experience comes my way in terms of fresh introductions, which I love doing with music. Many of you know it's a passion project field of mine on this channel. It's been a long-time aspiration to highlight music as an art form, or generally as it is the first love in my life amongst different artistic languages, and I truly do feel that mutual connection and enjoyment is better, and it really enriches the process of enjoying different musical works rather than just enjoying them in isolation, which is fine, but it's just not the same. I love being able to, when available, provide opportunities for collaborative or corporate enjoyment of good art, and in the music scene there's not been one song or artist I've not loved, especially in the European vein. If you've never been introduced to that market of the world before in terms of metal or rock music, oh, you are in for a fun initiation. I welcome you. Maybe that will be with Never Obey Again. This is your first tease to the wonderful world of Italian metal, and European metal more generally, but Italian metal really is a staple. Let's humor What If together. I'm anticipating, based on what I know about this group, there's going to be a bit of a broad field on the lyrics, and in terms of how we apply songs, I love to see that cathartic spirit offered, again, when it's of deliberate motivation. I have not read this in depth yet, so this very much is a fresh articulation, other than that brief social media tease, which I did view, admittedly, a couple days ago whenever it came out, and I've now forgotten about since. I cover a lot of music, so some things kind of pass by, which is great, because then I can say, well, this is entirely fresh to my experiences, basically. Of course, I've not witnessed the tune in full. I'm about to do that with you. Again, I love taking those initiation journeys where we explore good work, especially on a first impression, maybe with some deviation from time to time when necessitated. If you've not yet humored Never Obey Again or Noah for short, I cannot wait for you to be introduced. We've entertained 5 pieces together in preparation, many of the ones I've already mentioned, with this being the 6th. And I will tell you, I'll detail it more later, but more upcoming. Let's get into What If, though, and experience it for ourselves. I'm looking forward to seeing, maybe are my suspicions correct that this is, in fact, I believe it is, a performance video full on, and how well is the song delivered on? I'm sure it'll be a fun rock tune. Let's experience it together for the first time.
Come with me.
Already endearing. Okay, I'm lured in. Good key choice, plenty of resonance again, those pauses. The notes linger, especially on the end. Nearing the end of those measures. Carries well. A smooth higher riff. I like the drop on tone. And her voice is just enchanting. The stacked vocals, really good blend here. And that higher inflection on Deny, wonderful idea. That's a good line. I'm thinking about this today, even just apart from this wording. They released this at the right time. Oh, this is great on delivery. I love the resonance again with that metal edge. And on the vocals, the music, everything clicks. It sometimes feels like that. I was going to say, we're nearing the end of the song, so I wonder how they're going to close this out. Just 2 chorus iterations, but an instrumental break of a hard rock riff bass? That's great. Real metal strength on this album. God, I love it. Electronic isolation, beautiful fit. Real build on that piece. I love the construction. Gorgeous works. You know, again, I love entertaining the European world, broadly speaking, in terms of metal delivery, and it never disappoints. Whether it be on long-standing talents or fresh arrivals, and Never Obey Again really has a future ahead of them. I cannot wait to experience more. And I hope for some of you, you'd share in that same story. I think What If, for any of you that are being introduced. Now, again, I would recommend you listen to the pieces of what's released thus far of the album to date, being 6 works. But this one is a strong initiation, good metal bass, definite mainstream flair on build with great riff constructions, but the vocal resonance on that is, again, I think the score is amazing. To be very clear on that front, I'm attributing everything in focus here. I don't like to overlook anything or even risk it. But the vocals, oh, gorgeous. I love Carol's voice. Really anything, again, where you hear that accent come through, not just with Carol's Respect or any singer broadly speaking in the European vein. When you hear that integrated, it just creates this beautiful resonance when you experience works. And some of the inflection points on end words of different verses, for example, Deny, or on the choruses, or was it the chorus? I think, yes. Lie, words like that, when you hear that linger, especially on the different note changes, oh, it's beautiful. There's just this resonance that, it's such a nice feel. Again, invigorating listens, that's what I hope for, and I always get that. Every talent I've recognized on this channel I've loved, especially on the emerging front. Real strength, Never Obey Again. I've given that respect to each one of their works thus far, because they deserve it. And on lyrical delivery, sayings that I've not played with, What If? You know, we kind of mull over different types of futures in our heads, or we question different destinations of what life could have been. I think about this quite often. I'm sure many of us do to different respects, and dreams that we've humored and since not seen recognized or lived. Time is a gambling game. We own the dice, but feels like I can't keep up the pace. Amen. That's how I feel on a daily basis, but time is a gambling game. I might use that phrase. I've never heard it stated that way, but it works, doesn't it? It's very true. Time is a gambling game. You know, we don't know how much time we have in the world, in our lives. That's, we might see it differently in terms of destination. every piece I've offered on this channel in terms of content coverage, I admittedly come from a Christian perspective, so that's kind of my faith destination. So I do have that perspective in mind, at least personally, that our journeys are to some extent premeditated, but we have not yet experienced those ourselves. But there's that encoded life for us. Right. And again, we might define it differently based on subjective experiences. I know perhaps we take broad approaches to how we recognize our lives, independently. The world is a divergent place. It's a great line that I think speaks to every one of us, to different respects, even if we're maybe not mulling over these types of questions. Some of us are. Quite often. I really like the development on that piece, though. Again, the build on it. It does feel condensed, but I like the choice to isolate on the end. That is a bit original. Different type of feel. It doesn't befit your expectations. And I've spoken before, but it might be a phrase, especially in the Western world, namely cinematic and visual entertainment respects, that subversion of entertainment. It's a kind of a frowned upon attribution, but I've said there's an argument to be made for subversion done well. And when you consider the music landscape, I've seen that in wild brilliance. And admittedly, I didn't foresee, again, that type of trailing off. I thought it more so wrap up in the current foundation of where this song mostly sits on its build from origin. It would just continue on that way and maybe fade out. Possibly. It didn't. It took on a different path. It decided to isolate again on a harder riff foundation, more of isolation. We just see again the instrumental side come to brilliance. Even though the vocals were delivered quite well and the narrative is strong, I like that balance. It's a piece that gives you a sufficient perspective of everything. All the talents, at least in my opinion, for Never Obey Again, which have been beautifully exercised in 6 works currently. With, as I said, more to come. I have loved my deep dive of Never Obey Again to be introduced, but to continue it on, and we've recognized 6 works with 4 more to consider. Why not? So we are going to return. I don't know when that'll be. For the future, keep your eyes peeled. We will return to them pretty soon. But it's been a wonderful ride to experience these 6 works with you on Fresh Initiation. And What If? Same credit I've given each past work of Never Obey Again. I see a real strong future here. I love looking at emerging talents and ones that we have. Again, I like to intentionally maintain a wide lens between different types of artist respects in prominence, whether they be well-known names, well-established names, or fresh appearances, or maybe smaller, even more localized talents. Again, I've covered a broad share intentionally. I sometimes do hope and maybe this is how you approach Never Obey Again, that maybe you came to this channel through, and music coverage specifically, through recognition of a Never group, but you see this networking of artists of who I've spotlighted generally, and maybe you're finding connection paths to others, just even on appearance, or random recommendations, right? And you're like, I've never humored Never Obey Again. Why not shop around and explore? And I really do hope that some of you are approaching this being freshly introduced, again, where I was, but that we're enjoying good work together again in company. Especially on that Fresh Initiation, I really do feel that it enriches the music consumption experience. And with Never Obey Again, that's been the story of each track I've witnessed from them, with more to come. I've loved the opportunity to be introduced. What If? Same respect I've given all the past pieces. Beautiful strength here offered, whether on score, vocal delivery, or narrative. Never Obey Again really clicks for me. And I hope for many of you that is the same story. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.